So thank you everybody for coming. My name is Lawrence. I'm with the development company for this project. As many of you know, this project is, we're looking to build a 5-story apartment building on Main and Eisenhower at 2900 South Main. This is Jason Krieger. He's with Krieger Klatt Architects, and Kyler Shearer. He's with Atwell. He's a civil engineer for the project. Our company has a lot of experience building other multifamily projects in different communities throughout Michigan. We're also have built other hotel and retail projects. So a lot of experience doing this. We're very excited to be part of this community. Very excited to get everybody's feedback. We think the design of the building is very thoughtfully designed to fit into this community and this neighborhood. We're excited to show you guys it. I'm going to kind of pass it over to Jason, let him run through the project, and then we'll leave it open for questions.
All right, sounds good. Again, I'm Jason Krieger with Krieger Klatt Architects. As Lawrence mentioned, we're just going to walk through a really brief presentation. It's really quick, so maybe let us get through that, and then we'll just open it up and have it. So as he said, this is a 5-story multifamily building. The main team is United Hospitality Management, our company, and Atwell, which is Kyle's company. So this is a aerial view of the site. The red dashed line with the yellow in the middle, that's the site, that's not the building. And I know we've been chatting about that. And this is Main Street right there.
Where, I'm sorry, I didn't see it. Where's Main Street? Oh, okay, thank you.
Right there, yeah.
Thanks.
So just a couple key points of the, sorry, I don't want to block everybody. We're proposing to rezone it to TC1. It's a 5-story multifamily building. We have 61 residential units. We have 7 studios. It's primarily 1 bedrooms. We have 46 1-beds, and then we have 8 2-bedroom units. We have an interior amenity space that's not fully designed, but it's like common area, like lounge, mail packages, things like that. It's a couple thousand square feet. We have 45 parking spaces on site. And then we have 62 bicycle parking spaces. Some are inside that are considered Class A, some are kind of like on the site, so to speak, that are Class C. So this is actually the site plan. It might not be as easy to read because it's black and white. It's not really rendered out. But if you remember the aerial slide that we just looked at with that leg coming off, this is that leg. So this is all undeveloped. Is that this wetlands back there? I believe, right? Yeah, this is wetlands, yeah. So that's undeveloped. The only area of work is just the larger portion, which is closer to Main Street. The dark gray box is the building itself, which is farther away from your building. And we have some surface parking here. This building is 11 feet away from the property line, and it's pushed up closer to Main Street. So it's hugging the corner of the site. Then we have some floor plans we can show you. So there's surface parking, and then there's most of the parking's beneath the building. So it's considered a podium building.
Give us a number.
Oh,
How
gosh.
many parking spaces?
45 total.
45 total. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. There's 16 outside, and the balance is inside the building.
How many apartments do you have again? Remind me.
61.
Yeah,
61 units?
61.
So not even one
No.
parking place per unit.
No.
Yeah, that's right. As a ratio, it's 0.74. So you're correct.
So you have 45 parking places for 61 units?
That's correct.
That doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't.
Where are the
Hazel,
people who don't have parking spaces?
Let them do the presentation first, they asked, please.
That's right. Do the presentation.
Yeah.
Yes.
We will answer some questions. Okay, right. So then, just something to point out. This was a turning radius for a fire truck, correct? Yeah. Yep. So that we have basically all of our utilities and it's all tucked within the building. So this is the ground floor with the parking beneath the building, amenity space, which is the common areas for the tenants, which are up by Main Street. So you drive into the building here in the middle. So our refuse is tucked into the building as well. And then this is a typical floor, really. You know, apartments, a corridor down the middle, and apartments on the north and on the south. And then we have a small rooftop, little amenity space with a little patio that faces Main Street. We have some elevations, but I think, you know, these probably tell the story a little bit better. So this faces your building. This is the parking lot right here. This right here actually is the parking on that aerial that we were looking at, where those cars were. That's where this is. So there's the green belt, and then the parking beyond that. And you can see this is the parking beneath the building here, and then those are all the residential units up above. And then this is what we talked about briefly before, but we have a citizens participation meeting, which is today. So please everyone remember to sign in, because this is required. We always do this, but it's also required by the city. So we share these documents and notes with the city. Then there's a planning commission meeting. There might be a couple, but typically there's one. And then there's going to be a city council process. And I think there's 2 meetings with that. And then, anytime during city review process via phone or email communication with planning department. So I think what that's saying is that if you want, you can email different folks who are volunteers of the planning commission or city commissioners. I think that's really the overall presentation. Is there anything you want to add to
No,
that?
I think we'll probably cover what
Okay.
I need to talk about. Any
Yeah.
questions?
So, anything you want to add to that?
No, I think that's it. We'll leave it open for questions.
So virtually all the trees are gone between
No.
us,
No.
There's a large portion of the back of the site that's
In the
being
back.
completely preserved.
just in the
Okay.
back.
Right.
That's on the west?
Yes.
That's
on
on
the
the
west.
And
where
how
I get
back
the
does
one.
our building, how far back is our building to those trees?
There's a dimension there. I think it's 250 feet, give or take, from property line to the building.
I mean, where does ours fit in with that? Are we back into the tree area or?
Your building is like here, right,
Oh, okay.
Kyle?
Oh,
Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah, because this is your parking here, parking there. Oh, there's your building right there. That's part of your building.
So,
Yes.
I'd like to ask you a question.
Sure.
Could you tell us why this lot was designated as a protected property originally?
I don't know.
You don't know.
No.
Could it have been because of the issue of streams and water there?
Yeah, I really don't know.
So, the development and the site plan that we have shown here makes no impacts to wetlands or streams on site. There is tree removal, but, you know, Lawrence, and United Healthcare, or Hospitality, are mitigating for the tree removal based on the city standards. So, other than that natural feature, there are no impacts.
But you did know that it was designated as a protected site, right? Somebody knew. Did the company not know?
What do you mean by protected?
That is the legal term for when a piece of property is designated that it should not have building because of environmental
Maybe
issues.
maybe the wetlands portion, but like Kyler said, we're not building on that portion where the wetlands is.
Excuse me, but have you walked through the area now? Just as a means of familiarizing yourself with, what it looks like, what it feels like?
So this portion where the building is just tree, it's a treed site. This portion in the back, we're not really touching this, that's where,
The water is.
correct.
Well, as a matter of fact, if you walk through the part that, where the building's going to be, you sink into mud. It's a fact.
Sure.
Right.
And it seems to me that a responsible company would do a whole bunch of due diligence to find out at least what it looks like.
Absolutely. It's definitely a buildable site. We've done.
Have you done soil borings and?
Yes.
Could you guys
I'm
introduce
sorry,
yourself? I was here, I only got this a half hour ago in my mail, so could you introduce, I
Yeah,
got here.
Tyler Sharon with Atwell, engineering consultant for the project.
I'm Jason Krieger with Krieger Klatt Architects.
And I'm Lawrence Mayo. I'm with United Hospitality Group. I'm with the development company.
Thank you, sorry about it.
No.
I did not hear what the gentleman said, could he repeat it?
Soil boring test and whatnot, which, yes, we have done.
Oh, I just couldn't hear it, thank you.
Just for everyone's edification on the project specifically, we've already actually gone through a site plan approval process through the city. So we've gone through the engineering design review for this site exactly as it was designed. But Lawrence has wanted to raise the height of the building, which is why we're here. So there is no change to what has already been approved from a 2D aspect on the site as you see it.
Correct.
So as far as the city of Ann Arbor is concerned, it is a developable site.
But you're gonna have to get a rezoning.
Yes.
Only, as Kyler said, because our objective is to add another story to the building. So it was originally approved for a 4-story building. We're trying to make it a 5-story building, but the footprint of the building is not changing.
But the current zoning only provides for a 3-story building. Is that correct?
4, I believe.
It was 4.
Yeah, 4.
So that's why you're seeking the zoning change, is I'm not clear?
Correct,
Okay.
correct. And it's not by technicality, it's a zoning change, but it's not a major change in the building. If we're going from 4 stories to 5 stories.
When you
Is,
say 4 stories, you mean parking is 1 story and 3
Correct.
residential stories above it?
Exactly.
is the first story parking?
Yeah,
That's what she just said.
correct.
So then,
Oh,
Why
Four
not just
above
move the
parking.
parking underground and have the sightline be the same?
It is partially, it is technically partially below grade because the site slopes.
Yeah.
I think one concern, I live at Brookhaven, and most of these folks live at, Clarendon. And, we had a speaker at Brookhaven from the, City Planning Commission, a number of months ago now. And he was talking about, I think it was a 45-unit building with an equal number of parking places and a smaller building, so thus smaller, and as you said, it's smaller primarily in height. But what prompted the change, and why are you not adding parking commensurate with the number of apartments?
So-
One of my concerns is that Brookhaven has a very large parking lot for its staff right behind there. And I can just imagine, well, what should I say, poachers?
Trespassers.
Trespassers, yeah, right. So you can see it on that, you can see that parking area behind the east side of Brookhaven.
Yeah, which is the
on
brown
area.
building.
The brown sort of
Oh, I see.
H-shaped building
Yeah.
in the middle.
That's the building.
What will prevent people from just walking back and forth?
Nothing.
Is this, which park, you're talking about this park?
Yeah.
Or which park? Yeah.
No, yes.
Yeah, there's a pretty significant forested area between the development that will remain. It's more than 500 feet of dense.
Well, but they have to park somewhere, you see, and there's no place even
Right.
now for any extra cars.
We have done.
There's no on-street parking public.
Yeah, we have done
Across the
some
street.
market studies on who the potential renters may be, and we do think that there will be some renters in this building that may not necessarily need a designated parking space. They may be, they may work nearby, may be walkable, so we think.
No, there isn't. We already have every caretaker in our building parking off property on the very only public parking allowed. across the street, across me, and on Oak Brook, and that's it. There's no other on-city parking on the street. And
Yeah,
we
so-
have, many of our visitors have turned away for lack of parking. Our caretakers cannot get close to the building to pick up their people and get them ready, and then go back and get their car and when they need to take them.
And that's a dangerous place to cross, and,
Yes.
you know, there's no.
Right, of course.
So the parking provided on site is intended for residents' use only. So they're gonna be assigned spaces and they'll be filled by the residents of the building. It won't be employee parking.
What do visitors do? Where would visitors for the residents park?
Employee parking.
And the employees.
And
So,
employees.
Is there a city limitation on the parking? I've
There is
heard that.
actually no requirement by the city to provide parking on site.
Okay.
And candidly, we fought to get the parking that we have. There are site limitations, you know, we're trying to maintain some of the natural features on site.
What does that mean, you fought for the parking that you have planned already?
They wanted less parking when we went through the process the first time.
Yeah, I remember that.
Sorry, who's they?
The planning commission.
But that was for fewer apartments.
Yes, that was.
Yeah, but they
before.
wanted, they didn't want 1-to-1, so the 1-to-1 ratio, is I believe what we had before?
Right.
They wanted half of that.
So this area has been
Those are requests.
rezoned recently to a zoning called TC1. It's, again, it's, I want to misspeak, the long-term vision of the city is to be a more walkable, dense area, this area.
That may be the vision, sir, but that's not the reality.
Yeah,
Sure.
exactly.
Speaking from the
They're going
neighbors
to be doing
who
that.
experience this every day.
Yeah, understood.
Who wanted less parking?
The
The
planning,
city.
City.
yeah, the planning commission.
Planning commission, okay, thank you.
Yeah, they dropped their regulations.
Right.
There are
Who's your targeted resident?
Yeah, that's what,
It'll vary. It could be graduate students, just different people employed in the area.
How many square feet are your one bedrooms and what do they rent for?
I think they're about six.
I forgot, I don't know if, I don't think, yeah, we didn't list it, I can't remember what they were.
I think they're about 600 square feet.
Yeah.
Do you know what they'll lease for?
There'll be market rate for units, maybe between $1,500 to $2,000.
I'm sorry, say again?
We think maybe between $1,500 to $2,000.
For
A
600
month?
square feet?
Yeah.
1,500 for one bedroom.
There was a mention that you were gonna have, studio apartments. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah. Seven studios.
So that, it's not even, there's no bedrooms per se, it's just a studio apartment.
Correct, yeah. I think I saw your hand up first, in the back, yep.
Do you anticipate any of your tenants will have little kids?
No,
And
no,
if
because
so-
they're mostly one bedroom. They're smaller apartment units.
I'm thinking about if they're children,
No.
there's no prohibition, I would imagine, you
No,
can't
there-
do that.
Yeah, no, there's no prohibition. There's no way of us stopping that, but just the way the units are designed, they're smaller apartment units. We don't foresee that, larger families being the target renter.
School buses.
Oh.
I would just like to point out that in about a 3-block space, there are 4 multiple dwelling units already that are for senior citizens
Yeah.
or the Cranbrook Towers, which is a big development. I think it's bigger than Clarendon, but I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
it is.
Certainly bigger than Brookhaven. And a fair number of disabled people there. Does that matter at all in the thinking about developing something like that? I mean, it's a high population of people who are not necessarily going to walk everywhere or use the transit system, no matter what Ann Arbor wants.
We think it's healthy for the community to have a mix of different housing types. Whether it's a building like this, whether it's a building that may cater more to seniors, and we think that it's healthy for the overall neighborhood to have that mix.
So it doesn't matter to you? No?
No.
Okay. It doesn't matter that this could make it harder for the residents who are already here to have their caregivers park, the employees of the buildings park, or for people to get around.
Most of the buildings that most of you guys live in, they're private, they're not property. Our tenants and visitors can't just go park there.
But we know they will.
Right, I think that's what the whole,
grass.
I think that's what the whole point is, gentlemen, is just that, as you know, parking is at a premium around here. As a person living in Ann Arbor in a nearby apartment, you know, I have experienced the same issue as our residents here, where there are too many people, regardless of the market study or whatever term, I apologize, for 0.74 parking spaces. You have 8 two-bedroom apartments that could have 2 to 4 people. You have however many one-bedroom apartments. You know the rent prices in Ann Arbor. Most of the time, people can't afford that one bedroom by themselves at $2,000 a month rent. So what's going to happen? We're going to have roommates, and many of them drive. Most, I mean, I shouldn't say most. I don't know the statistics, but when we're already pushed on those parking, the overall concern is that here's another mammoth of a building coming up, and although those residents in your building are not allowed to park elsewhere, they will. And so then that's gonna keep squeezing everybody with the surrounding university living, Brookhaven, Brookdale, Cranbrook, all in that map there that you have. So I think we're just trying to make sure that's goes through.
Absolutely. I mean, these are concerns that I've heard other areas as well with other developers, and at the end of the day, Lawrence has to not only police it, right? And I know this sounds obvious, but he does. The other thing is, as he leases the building up, he knows he only has so many parking spots. So if he hits a point and he can't get a tenant for a year or two because they want a parking spot, that's his risk.
Correct.
You know, and so you're gonna have management there.
Correct.
Right? So if there is an issue, obviously he's gonna find out about it and fix it. I mean, that's.
So if you have someone that wants to move into a vacant apartment that you have, and they have a vehicle, you won't lease that apartment?
No. it'd be-
No, he'll lease it, but he's gonna say there's no parking for you.
And that means, but realistically, that means what?
yes.
It'd be up to that individual to make a choice between this building or another apartment building.
Or an electric bike.
Yeah.
What's the setback from the street for your building? I see our sidewalk. Nope. Yeah, it doesn't look like there's a sidewalk.
Oh, well, that's the property line. The building's back farther. Do you
Yeah,
remember
you
what the
go to the
dimension?
site plan real quick.
Yeah.
So will you be putting in the road sidewalk?
Yeah, so
Oh, yeah.
right along here, we're actually dedicating 27 feet of right of way along the frontage, and then the building is set back 15 feet beyond that. But a multi-use path that connects to the existing path along the front of the building to the north there.
Will that be cement?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yep, it'll be a similar material.
the city has long said that they are responsible and that there is a developer, and that's why they never fixed the sidewalk for us.
Is it 27 feet from the center of the road?
It's an additional 27 feet from the existing right of way where it was, so it's actually further. I think it's 60 feet, but not having the plan in front of me today, I can't say for sure.
May I read to you one paragraph from the retired architect that I think you know. It regards Westland, the wetlands of stormwater runoff.
Yeah.
The eastern part of 2900 Main Street lies at 990 feet elevation above sea level. According to the data from satellite images by Google Earth, it's a natural wooded area with typical forest floor and understory growth of wild plants and shade-loving shrubbery. The site slopes gradually west from Main Street toward a legally designated wetlands area that is nearly 100 feet lower at the east end of the site. The site drops precipitously about 300 feet west of Main Street into what only can be described as a sinkhole. I've been there, I know. A building with multiple floors below ground, such as an air raid shelter, might conceivably occupy this area, but Michigan state and federal restrictions, not to mention subsoil conditions, would likely prevent any development of this area. Would you agree? The proposed apartment project replaces most of the eastern part of the 2900 site, a natural wooded area of nearly 10 million square feet with hard surfaces, paving and roofing that absorb no stormwater. As a result, when it rains, the water will tend to drain into the sinkhole instead of being absorbed by the forest floor. What was once a wetlands area will likely become a stagnant pond. And nothing grows except bacteria, algae, and mosquitoes. And all the trees drown. The question is, will developers and their agents employ some reliably adequate system to retain and discharge stormwater in accord with current state regulations in spite of the great cost involved, or will they attempt to obtain state approval to use the wetlands area as an ad hoc retention pond with all the negative outcome that might be expected with that option? Sterling Crandall.
So, I'll take this one.
But you
Just-
better, you're
just like you said, we have designed an underground detention system as part of the project. Like I previously mentioned, we went through the city approval process already. So we've gotten approval one time based on the same footprint. Stormwater boils down to, just like you said, changing areas that previously infiltrated into areas that are now hardscape. So without a footprint change, there is no change to that underground detention system that's already been approved. So yes, it will be detained for a period of time and slowly released into the wetland at a controlled rate based on city standards.
So it's not going into the city's storm system, storm sewers?
It is not going to city storm, no.
Where is it going?
Into the
Street?
The wetland, yes. The same location that runoff currently drains to in existing conditions. Yeah.
On this same topic, is there any difference that has been considered in the engineering or architecture of the structure, given that it is adjacent to the wetlands and has issues with the wetland? How about the structure itself?
Well, as far as the structure itself goes, the only concern that we would have would be either water management around the building, because part, as Lawrence mentioned, part of it is gonna be below ground, which will handle that with waterproofing. And then also the poor soils or porish soils, which we would handle with some form of foundation, which we haven't designed it yet, but it would stand up.
Hope so.
It will, promise.
If there were not the fifth floor, you would need to have discussion on this one.
Correct. Because we have to rezone the property, we are essentially going through the process again, to get reapproval for the rezoned property with a little taller building.
So why are you building another story?
Yeah.
Great question.
See, they want.
Need more money,
Yeah.
it's pretty
We-
easy.
It makes a project viable, the city's frankly, it makes the project viable from a financial standpoint. Frankly, we think that there's a large housing demand in the city. We've heard that by talking to many different people in the planning department. And we don't think that the impact is that significant from one floor because the footprint of the building is not changing.
But
So
you're not saying that the project would not be financially viable if it were 1 stories less. I can't believe you're saying that. Are you?
Yeah, that you, I think she's saying is that you originally designed a building that would not be financially viable, and you had to add a story to make it financially viable. That's what I'm hearing.
There are many reasons why we're adding this story. We do want to maximize units while still making a good quality project that fits within the community and the neighborhood.
If you go through this process and you're approved for the rezoning, how many additional floors would you be able to add after the rezoning before you would have to have another meeting like this?
If we're approved for the rezoning? Well, that would happen, correct me if I'm wrong, that would happen after the planning commission meeting, right? I believe
Yeah,
so.
no, so the board has to approve the rezoning, and then if we were gonna go back for additional floors,
Yeah.
we'd go to planning commission again.
Right, so, yeah, so
But
you
it wouldn't
have to
have
do
be
it all over again.
rezoned.
I'm sorry?
It wouldn't
No.
have to be rezoned for additional.
TC1
funds.
allows for various building heights based on,
How many?
I don't know off the top of my head, but it's based on frontage on the main street there, and then also adjacent buildings.
But this specific project is what would get approved. Even if we're not adding anything else beyond that, it would be this exact project.
Yeah, I think what you're asking is if we get approved for the TC1, can we go back and start popping more? No,
Exactly.
my understanding is that once we get approved for this, that's what we get approved for, because it's a site plan approval, so it ties it to the plans.
Right.
But you've already done this one.
Yeah.
That's right, so now that's why we're doing it again, we have to go back through the whole process all over again.
And you would have to do that again if
Yes.
you weren't looking for rezoning, even just adding 1 additional floor on top of this proposal?
Yes, because the approval gets tied, the plans get tied to the approval. This is like a legal document. So if we go back and add a floor, it impacts a lot of other things. It's not just the height of the building, but now the parking ratio and other things.
Oh, yeah.
That it's like a legal thing. So we can't just go, we're gonna add 3 more.
So
Great.
it's not just the
Yeah.
rezoning?
No, it's rezoning based on this plan.
It's the rezoning, and then we go through the site plan approval, and then engineering approval after that. And between the rezoning approval and the site plan approval, there will be opportunity for public engagement at the planning commission.
So in theory, you can go through this process, have rezoning approved, and then go through a replanning approval process without going through another rezoning approval process.
Theoretically.
What's the max number of floors allowed by the new zoning?
I don't know off the top of my head.
Not too sure off the
It's
top
based,
of my head.
it's not just like a number of floors or a building height specifically, it's based on surrounding building heights, so.
And every one of those balconies are gonna have a party because these are graduate students living here. This is gonna turn into a dormitory.
Sure.
Yeah, quite likely.
Building will
A
be all
rich
managed.
dormitory.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Oh, will there be an on-site manager?
Yeah, there'll be an on-site manager, there'll be regulations in the building.
That's
24
another
hours.
parking space.
Somebody that'll party.
A 24-hour manager?
I have 2 purely practical questions beyond the design and such. The sidewalk that you're gonna put in front of your building, is it gonna connect up to the sidewalk that goes down by the bank?
Yes.
Or will it stop like it's done already and not go through?
No, the city said they were responsible to put in the sidewalks.
I think it's gonna connect. It looks like, right, just correct me if I'm wrong, I think there's a sidewalk there now.
Yeah.
So, and there's a sidewalk here, so we're gonna connect them.
So it does connect up.
It will be a continuous
So you
sidewalk.
will be able to walk
Yeah.
on a sidewalk all the way down to Eisenhower.
Correct, yes.
All the way to the bank.
My second practical question is, how are you gonna keep people from Clarendale from filling up your parking lot?
Yeah, we don't have enough
Managed,
space
I'll say
ourselves.
management.
Yeah, it'll be managed, the, inside the garage will be access control.
But
That's
you've got all
inside.
that,
What about outside?
the
He's
surface
talking about-
parking.
We're gonna have on-site property management that's gonna have to regulate.
Police it.
So permit parking or they'll tow the cars away.
Yeah,
I
probably,
think I got a
yeah.
question about 24-hour.
It's a deal, it's an issue.
Will the management be there 24 hours?
Yeah, that's our plan.
So they'll live on site.
No, no.
They'll change, no, they won't. be-
Rotation.
they
Yeah,
won't
rotation.
You're planning on having, really, a 24-hour
We'll have
staff on
some,
site?
at the very minimum, somebody will be on call, very minimum, whether it's a maintenance person or a property manager.
You kinda have to when you have that.
Kinda have to. From our experience, over 50 plus apartment units, you kinda need somebody.
Will there be a, on-site, maintenance person in a building that size? Like, my apartment complex, there's a 24-hour maintenance man that lives there and can respond to emergencies and stuff like that. Is that a plan for one of the apartment units or not?
Potentially, we haven't.
Haven't discussed, that's down the road.
Yeah.
Are there a percentage that have to be affordable housing in this unit?
There's not, no.
Will there be any commercial, development in amongst the public, space in the front of the building?
Like a Starbucks or
Store?
No.
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 Very commercial.
Oh, a fitness center and lounge and lobby.
Correct.
What's the lighting like on the outside of the building, potentially facing the neighbors whose apartments face your building? What's sort of outside lighting?
You know, all the lighting, if there is lighting, it's directed down, that's a requirement. So there's 0-foot candles at the property line. But it's really just lighting that's required for, okay, cancel. It's really just lighting required for safety, things like that. There will be signage on the building, but it's not allowed to shine out or anything like that, so it's code compliant.
How long will it take to build from start to finish?
18, 19 months.
Yeah, so by the time we start construction, probably 18 months maximum.
He's laughing, he's like 2 years actually.
Look at me, 24 months late on the project, so nothing goes on time.
That's what I'm thinking.
Well, I'd like to ask our director, when can we apply for decreases in our rent? Seeing they've taken away our view and everything else.
That's a sidebar, Jim.
Smoke-free breakfast.
Yeah.
What was
You can
the
have a
question?
generator on site?
I don't think we've determined that yet.
Yeah, I don't think it
Better.
We still have to, it's not required because it's not a high rise. But it may be required if we need it for water pressure. We just haven't gotten to that point yet. But right now, I don't think you're planning on a generator for like the common areas or anything like that right now.
You're gonna need one, we did.
Yeah,
Right.
just
Right.
wait.
Does the power go out a lot?
Yes. You should know that, get to know this.
You don't know our area very well.
The power goes off all the time.
You might wanna think about that.
No, seriously, it's like a known problem in Ann Arbor with the grid system, so if you don't know that, you're gonna find out.
Okay, that's good to know, honestly.
Yeah.
Sorry, I should have told you guys. My power was out for like 2 weeks last year.
Wow.
Where are you?
Packard and Klatt is where I
Fact
used
of
to
life.
live.
Yeah.
When is the commission, have they put it on the agenda for you yet?
Not yet.
Okay. How do we, other than checking the Ann Arbor website when we get notification?
Well, yeah, I mean, the mailers will go out, just like this occurred, I think it's the same.
I got this today, so.
Really?
Ooh.
We sent those a while ago.
Well, there's been a few cuts to our mail postal system.
Okay,
thing
yeah.
where, yeah, I got
That's
it.
another problem.
Yeah, I get it. Not your fault.
Yeah. But I think it's the same process, and then I don't know, but the city may have something on their website notifying
Yeah, they
people.
probably do.
So,
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
It was hard to find. I did a lot of work finding it.
Did you?
Yes.
Who approves the zoning request?
Council, I believe.
Council. Yeah, for zoning, it should be council.
So it goes to the planning commission first and then to the council,
Yeah.
once the planning
That's what
commission has it?
happens.
Okay.
Correct.
Do you own the marshy part of the property also, or no?
I'm sorry.
Whoever bought the land to build this building, do you also own the marshy part?
Yeah,
He owns,
we do.
Lawrence owns everything in the dark box, dark,
Correct.
heavy line.
Will that have an easement on it? I mean, it's unbuildable, but.
Well, neither is the,
Go ahead, sorry.
this one. I take it back.
Will it have an easement on it or?
No,
Just
no.
unbuildable?
No, it's just unbuildable.
Okay.
So, you or your company owns what's in the dark line, including the marshy stuff that goes back toward
Yeah, all the way
Brookhaven?
back.
All
Correct.
that,
The
all
alley.
that,
Own it.
whole thing.
Okay.
Yeah, what are you planning to do in the, I know this is not the architect's concern, but I am wondering what will happen at the end of the property. Because
Or-
now it's simply wild.
It'll remain as is for forested land.
Our rabbits and squirrels and deer and all of them can still live there.
You're gonna have skunk and groundhog and everything.
We do.
dislocated. There's a ton there. Coyote.
Rocca, I have a question for you. Is there a way we can get inland, is there a way we can get inland and LCS involved in this? I mean, those aren't small companies, they're huge.
As far as what?
As far as making sure there's enough parking, so we don't have to worry about that, ensuring that there's safety in the neighborhood,
We can talk about that back at the community.
yes, yes.
Excuse my naivety on how all this works, but is this project like 100% a go? I know you're trying to rezone for like the extra height, but is there anything that can squash this, or is this is definitely happening?
Well, we're going back to the approval process.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
gonna need city approval.
Okay, so, one thing that one of our residents, who's not here had asked, and again, this might be really silly, but I'm just gonna ask it because he brought it up, was that in, this rezoning process, if it gets approved, that, you can, that, I don't know who it is, but that you're a hospitality company and that there are maybe hotels involved and that this could actually get changed if it gets rezoned
No.
from apartments to a hotel. Is there any accuracy to that?
No, there's no accuracy to that. We
Okay.
definitely plan, this is gonna be a multi-family apartment building. Confusion is probably because our company name is United Hospitality Group. We got our background, we actually got started building and managing hotels, kind of expanded into different forms of real estate. Multifamily being another one. We have another multifamily project going on in Michigan, it's under construction. We've also done some retail, ground up retail projects. But yeah, our company name is United Hospitality Group, but no, this is not a hotel. It's gonna be a 61 unit apartment building.
He's tired of managing hotels, he wants to get into something else.
Yeah.
Who's your ownership?
It's just a small group of investors,
So it's private equity.
it's privately owned, family owned.
So family owned or private?
Family owned, it's a small group of friends and family.
Okay.
Can we go back to the slide where it has the neighborhood?
Yeah.
And I'm just curious,
This is
Where
the best
in-
head in this
on-
touch. This is really cool.
but Briarwood Circle, can you?
Briarwood's right
Where?
to the
Briarwood right
there.
Yeah, I see that. So
Yeah.
where there are they currently building? Is that within this space?
On the far end.
To the right.
To the right.
Yeah.
Office.
So can you show
Yeah,
me
it's
where,
way up.
oh, is it off the
In
street?
Briarwood.
And this is as far as it goes back.
Right.
Okay, so it's not with,
No,
So the
no.
current apartment buildings that they're building
No,
there?
it's,
Okay.
it's over, if you've been around long enough, it's over where Sears used to be.
Which is way over.
It's a little more over.
In back.
But then there's the city, then there's the other project that's going up across State Street from there, that's what, 2,500 apartments or something?
Yeah. And there's also another apartment, project down behind Whole Foods, a 500 unit.
Yes, I think Cranbrook,
Some spaces.
that lot
Yeah.
right behind there.
Right
behind Whole
Right,
Foods,
yeah,
yep.
yeah, I heard that as well.
Yeah, that's another one that's coming,
Wait, behind there too.
yes.
Huh?
There's a plan, there's something like that, isn't
On
there?
Ann Arbor-South, there's an empty field there.
Yep.
Yes,
Oh,
that's right.
across from there, yeah,
Something
not
like
behind.
400 apartments, I can't remember.
Oh.
What is your next step in terms of the approval process?
It's gonna go to planning department, and then it's gonna need planning approval, and then I think they pass it, then it goes to council for review. Right.
The planning process, is that a public forum process, or is that you talking with them?
It's public, there's another notice, a public hearing, so folks can come speak.
Is that 6 months from now, is that 3 months from now?
Well, we still have to finalize our documents and submit.
Probably
So
fall.
Probably a couple months from now, right?
Yeah, probably fall.
Yeah.
I think that time on the show said fall.
We're already at fall, oh my gosh. Yeah, you're right. Wow.
Looking at your website, I see only hotels. Is this your first apartment complex?
No, we have one under construction right now in Royal Oak. Website's not updated. We also own some retail space.
Okay.
You were saying fall and like, before fall, no, fall's in like a couple months.
4th of July is coming, it's crazy.
Right.
Years
We've
fly by.
crested now, we're back to
Jeez.
shrinking days.
Well, I'm gonna say one more thing, gentlemen. I know that, you know, parking does not make you any money. And we have the same issue. I work at Clarendale. We have the same issue where our residents, one of the reasons that they're here, right? Where we have parking issues as well. And I think that although the objective for this project, or one of them, is to obviously build a portfolio and make some money, it would be really awesome if you could maybe just think about being good neighbors and think about that ratio a little bit more. As, like I said, an Arbor person living who is an apartment renter and has been forever, you know, my first reaction is, whoo, I can live next door and walk to work, that's awesome. But then after that, I think, there's no parking, you know, and how that is for my family that comes over and all the other people, and I think that it's gonna be more of a problem than you anticipate, and I just wanted to make sure I articulated that.
No, I appreciate that, and that's something that, you know, Lauren, you have to work on your parking plan. The sign, you have a certain number of signs, or that's something that, I don't know if you got there yet, but those are all items that he's gotta work out in order to make it a viable, you know, project and be a good neighbor, so I appreciate the comment.
Jason's absolutely right, we appreciate your comments. We gotta give definitely thought to it and make sure that the intrusion is minimal or no intrusion to the neighboring buildings, including the buildings that many of you guys live in. We wanna make it as least intrusive to the neighborhood as possible, so yes,
You said that the planning commission reduced the parking restrictions, number of parking restrictions that you had originally.
Well,
Is that correct?
They wanted us to reduce the ratio that we had before.
Well, what a bunch of half-wits. Gee.
What's
Boy, I'll tell you,
Question over here.
this Ann Arbor is a poorly managed city.
Well, I'm the director over
Oh.
at Krieger, and my concern is the parking, because we do have that lot that she mentioned, and I can just foresee
This lot right there, is that one? Yep.
that they're gonna be coming over there.
I don't know if it's that easy to traverse.
Yes, it is.
It is.
Oh,
It
yeah.
is.
Oh,
Very
yeah.
easy. Yes, I've spent a lot of time back.
To her point, if you can really work on that, because I can see.
Oh, I bet,
it's gonna
yeah.
be-
Spent a lot of time in
absolutely.
You're underestimating the frustration of not being able to find a parking spot in any area, and,
Sure.
so that will happen.
Yeah, I get it.
So in the plans with the additional floor, the original plan that was approved was 45 spots for 45 apartments.
That's correct.
Yes.
But in looking to increase the apartments to 61, you're not looking to add any additional parking to
We were
match
looking,
the
but there's
ratio
no,
you
there's
had
no room to
before.
do
You
it.
can kind of see on the site plan.
And that's why we're trying to discourage, that's why we
Which line is the wetlands? This guy here, right?
Yeah, it's this strip here.
Yeah, so right through there. So it's just, you can't get back here.
Not now, but once you make a construction thing, there will be a place somewhere. Yeah, you'll see.
Given that current footprint in terms of construction vehicles, I'm saying your question out loud, Nancy. When the construction process is happening, where will those vehicles be in relation to, you know, if you're that close to the road and that close to our property, where do all those heavy machineries,
Well,
machines live?
they have to, they're gonna have to build this on site, and the way they stage it, that's what the general contractor is for that, and then what they'll probably do, and I'm not a general contractor, they'll probably stage some vehicles there, cause they have to rebuild everything, basically from the road in.
Yeah, right.
Right, the curve in basically is gonna get reworked.
Yeah, it does.
So they'll be staging and doing stuff out here, all through here, and then they just have to sequence it in a way that they can kind of build their way out.
That comes in all on our side then.
Right.
No, they're not allowed to do that.
Yeah, there will be.
Then they'd have to come in either South Main or they'd have to come in Eisenhower.
Correct.
Yeah, the site will be accessed off Main Street,
Right.
correct. But there
Right.
will be no disturbance on adjacent properties.
Oh.
Physical disturbance.
Yeah, well, I mean, we've built projects in like downtowns a lot, so 0 lot lines. They build them like, buildings on either side and everything else, they'll figure it out, that's what they do for a living.
What are the zoning rules with regard to what time you can be doing construction, what time in the morning, and what time do you have to be done in the evening?
I don't know what time.
In the city, it's heavily regulated, it won't be atypical to the
Does it,
process.
you know, if it's weekends?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I really don't know.
What is it, 7 or
This,
8?
this may not be the time, but I'm gonna ask you anyway. At Brookhaven, a number of us did get this postcard announcing the meeting. From what little I've heard from people at Clarendon, not everybody or hardly anybody at Clarendon got this postcard.
No, thank you for starting the newspaper.
No, I'm
Thank you,
actually
Mary.
glad you said that, so maybe we can try and mail things out sooner, cause
Yes.
we were given the addresses from the city, and so we actually packaged it up and sent it out, so.
Maybe it was between the name change.
Keep in mind, I have a question, but keep in mind also that, that is tiny, tiny print, and you are mailing to people, many people who do not see well, and I'm pretty serious about that.
You're right.
But my question is, I live in Brookhaven, and I don't know anything about this. I'm not an engineer, I'm trying to understand. I live in Brookhaven, and Brookhaven has the most uneven floors of a building that I can imagine for senior citizens tripping here.
Sure.
And I am quite convinced that the building has settled a lot because it's built on a swamp. And if you send all this water downhill toward Brookhaven and don't get it out of there, that pond thing back there is nasty. But what is all this water runoff from the hardscape going to do to the buildings downstream?
So, we're not generating extra water, right? Water that falls on the site there today. It will fall there after the development goes in.
But some of it gets absorbed by the woodland that's there.
Correct. So, the detention system that is proposed and designed will release the water at a controlled rate so that process can still happen.
So it can't flood it.
Right.
Is the idea, right?
Yeah, so we capture all that water in your heavy rain event and hold it on our site.
Is captured
under the parking lot?
Yes. Or where's it captured?
Yep, right,
Yeah, that's what I
to the
wondered.
left,
Where's
right
it
on the north
captured?
side of the building, in that area.
So there's giant pipes underground, goes in there, right?
Yeah.
And then there's a little, really tiny pipe that releases it slowly.
Yeah.
Out here, right?
Correct.
There's no get out, no water.
Huh.
Could you go back to the satellite photo for a second?
Lease.
I was asked to be here, or keep going down a little bit. So above that pond there is Briarcrest developing 109 units since the 1980s. I'm president of the condo association, and I got a call from residents saying, what the heck, I just got this today, you gotta be there.
Yeah.
We have 109 units.
Really, I'm sorry, are you up here?
Nope,
Where are
keep
you
going.
going? Oh, over there, gotcha.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah,
Yeah.
I gotcha.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, I didn't see that, okay, yeah, you know, I see
About
that.
that, yeah.
Okay.
We tow vehicles out of our parking lots all the time. And we don't have any residents that don't have 1 to 2 cars. They're 2 bedrooms, so 2 to 4 people can live in there. So I understand your frustration with the city, but there will be a parking issue for you, your management, and it'll be a huge issue. And if they park in our parking lot and we're towing them, we're gonna have to make it your issue, obviously. And our residents get really upset during football weekends when people tailgate in our parking lots and such, and we have to kick them out. Yeah, especially Ohio State fans, so it gets ugly. But I would like notice to that condo association so we can let our 109 units know about the earlier than this. They were pretty ticked off today. Hence,
Those are all good warnings
order.
for.
I think that's,
alarms.
honestly, it's very educational feedback that many of you guys have provided. And we will definitely have to put a plan in place. We think that
There's not really a plan that's gonna solve the problem, right? Like, you're not gonna have enough spots for the people that live there, let alone that are visiting or working there. So regardless of what plan you implement, it will be a problem. And truly, it'll be a problem that affects everybody in this room, not just you.
I mean, there are other apartment buildings that have been built with a lesser parking ratio.
Where?
And how are they doing?
And
how are their neighbors?
Can we talk to them?
I mean, ultimately, it's the direction that the city's going. They're trying to eliminate surface parking to save green spaces.
Yeah.
So, we've done what we can on our site, and like Lauren said, there will be a plan in place and management to police. But you're right, the problem isn't going to be solved on one site that's 100 feet wide.
I have to jump in here. As Lynn said, we did have somebody from the planning department come and talk at Brookhaven. And he was quite blunt that the way the city is moving is away from everybody having their own car. And so, I mean, these guys are doing what the city says they have to do. So I guess she's left. She's still here? Nope.
I'm sure she is.
Oh,
Sit down.
Right
Oh, there she is.
She probably knows all
Right, so I would say, I'm sorry, but there's the lady you wanna talk to.
Who's no longer on the.
I'm not in a position of power now.
Oh, okay.
But I get to know people.
Yeah, she knows.
We have a member of the planning commission here.
Yeah, a half-wit.
There's the guy you wanna talk to.
Sitting quietly in the back.
I do apologize, but that's the way it is.
Well, you didn't call me a half-wit.
Yeah, but I think the concern is the 16 additional units with no additional parking. Because you would have a problem with 45 parking spots for 45 units anyway, but 16 additional units with no additional parking is a concern.
We do, I personally strongly believe that because many of these units are studios or 1-bedrooms, there will be single individuals that work in close proximity that may not have a vehicle. We think that we can be that target residence. We really do believe that. There are offices and businesses nearby, the long-term, again, I don't wanna misspeak, but this is from my understanding, the long-term vision of this area to the city is to make it be a more walkable area. And we think it is different.
Well,
A big one, that's right. Well, we have a lot of bike parking, that's for sure.
There is bike parking for every.
Oh, yeah.
You need
That's
lots
what
if
they're
that
building
story goes out.
upstairs.
Right.
There'll be a lot of them. But there's a space there.
Yeah. Again, these are not large condo or townhome type units. They're smaller units, like I said, that we think is gonna attract more a solo, single individual. And we think really it's gonna be somebody that works in proximity to the building. Obviously not everybody, but we still do have that 45 parking spots.
Do you have information on average income for people that live within, let's say, 2 miles of that building?
We do, I don't remember right now, but yeah, we did do those.
And does it match up with your price point of $1,800 for
Yeah.
one apartment?
And that rental rate too, that's a little bit more workforce housing compared to what I'm seeing, so I'm just saying, like, I think it kind of aligns with what you're saying with the smaller units and that type of thing. Now, the one thing to point out is that Lawrence and his team, they're not merchant builders. You guys hold all your properties.
Correct.
So when they build them, they want them to be built to last, good materials, and he's looking at it long term, you know, and he's an old guy or something like that, but you know, so he's got to live with this thing, so he wants it to be successful.
Correct, I mean, we pride ourselves really on the property management side of things, and just having great care for any building that we manage, and maintaining that building, being part of the community, whether it's the hotels we own and treating our guests right, whether it's apartment buildings that we own and treating our tenants right, and really just being part of the broader community. So yeah, like Jason said, this is something that we're not building just to sell, it's something that we hope to be involved in the community for years and years.
How many properties do you own and manage?
I think we're at 9 to 10 properties right now.
And where do you live?
I live in West Bloomfield.
Yeah, they wouldn't be having this argument in West Bloomfield.
Every city has different challenges.
I understand that, and we just happen to have a poor planning commission and zoning commission. It's terrible here. I've lived in a lot of cities in 82 years. This is the worst I've ever lived in.
Well,
Have you, sir?
friends, there is an election gonna come up.
Yep.
You have a planning commission is appointed.
Have you, sir, driven by any of our, communities during a regular day, particularly Clarendale, to maybe see, what it looks like on a typical day with our parking lot, and how many cars are overflowing all over the place, and, Briarcrest down the way, and who's parking on the roads and all of these things? Have you had an opportunity to do that?
Yeah, I mean, you guys obviously are more in tune, and you guys live there on a day-to-day basis, but I've gotten acclimated to the surrounding area at different times of the day, and seeing things kind of vary at different times of the day in terms of the traffic and the parking, but you guys are obviously more in tune to that, and I respect it, and taking notice of all the comments that everyone has provided.
Come out on a football Saturday.
No, Joe.
Come on, it's
Just
Just come on a normal morning. A normal morning.
May I ask maybe a somewhat irrelevant question of how large your Royal Oak property is and how many parking spots you have for it?
36 units, and it's similar. I think it's like 36 parking spots. But it's-
Similar what? To your original plan, or what after you add the additional floor?
No, similar in the sense of the parking ratio. I think it's actually might be slightly less, 30.
The number of spots is similar to
Yeah.
the number of apartments. that are
Correct,
in it.
exactly.
If the Royal Oak property is 1-to-1 parking, why is this one a 72%?
Different site, we, like Jason said, and Kyle, we did our best with the size of the site. It's a different site,
And
different
you-
neighborhood, different area.
you can't have fully
Different different demographics.
You can't have fully underground parking like we do?
Yeah.
At Clarendale, we have fully underground parking.
Well, this is partially underground, but I don't think we have enough room to ramp down the entire floor. You need like
It's the
100 feet,
access.
100 some feet, yeah.
Okay.
And Royal Oak is highly walkable. in my opinion.
Even though it's 1-to-1?
That's right.
I mean,
If you're close to
that's my
downtown.
It is, that's what my kids were there.
Well, and there are probably different city regulations.
Yeah, there's
as
different
well.
zoning restrictions
right,
each
but when
site,
thinking
its
about what
own.
makes sense for a project.
I think you are required to have 1.5, no, it's 2 or something like that. You gotta like a PUD.
Yeah.
So a change in the ordinance in order to reduce that. They're trending the same way. They're starting to
It used to be-
they're getting rid of parking there too, slowly but surely.
And how do their seniors get around? E-bike?
Drive, walk, I mean, or you mean like as far
Yeah,
as
how do
like-
seniors get around if we're moving to a more walkable, bikeable community? How do 82-year-olds in January get around?
Same way that I guess they would now, drive.
They drive because they don't work.
Yeah, drive, walk, yeah.
I can't imagine anybody would buy that property and expect to put a building up that size. You'd have to be a moron to even buy the property. It wasn't meant for a building that size. It's not even big enough for a gas station.
Do you own the property?
Yes.
The shoe fits where it.
Oh, Jim, that's not nice.
Any other questions?
Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody, appreciate it.